everyday prices are too high. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes. That is called Bidenomics. A loaf of bread costs 50% more today. Ground beef is up almost 50%. There's not much left at the end of the month. Bidenomics is working. The price of housing has gone up. It feels so hard to just be able to get ahead. And we are very proud of Bidenomics.
Was in on it. She covered up Joe's obvious mental decline.
Our president is in good shape, in good health, tireless, vibrant, and I have no doubt about the strength of the work that we have done.
But Kamala knew Joe couldn't do the job, so she did it. Look what she got done. A border invasion, runaway inflation, the American dream dead. They created this mess. Kamala owns this failed record.
And imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be unburdened by what has been. 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 What we can see, what we believe can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Who we can be unburdened by who we have been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Where we can be unburdened by where we have been and unburdened by where we are right now. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be.
I want bold colors, red, white, and blue. America, I have seen, Dagan, the last several decades, absolutely fray and decline. When I saw those guys on the boats, on their knees, I mean, that says a picture about America that I haven't seen ever before. He's woken up a group of people, Neil, that have gone ignored. And Donald Trump, to me, is the last hope for America.
This country has such potential. I love the country. You have to have heart. You have to take care of women's health issues. You have to take care of poor people that don't have, that they're never going to have a shot. And you have to take care of African-American youth who have never been in a worse position than they are right now.
We are standing up for America and for the American people.
There's a group of people in America that feel like they've been ignored. I know that for a fact. They feel like this country has let them down and the left has hijacked, and some of the right has hijacked our nation. So this is what Donald Trump answers to. It's not anger, it's love of country. And they've all of the media is getting it wrong.
You can't let the critics and the naysayers get in the way of your dreams. Adversity makes you stronger. Don't give in, don't back down, and never stop doing what you know is right. Nothing worth doing ever came easy. And the more righteous your fight, the more opposition that you will face. Built this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
First jobs report of a full month of the Trump presidency showed the economy added 235,000 jobs in February. The unemployment rate dropped down to 4.7%.
More jobs available than people available to fill them. Never seen that before. See that from the Atlanta Fed? They're predicting 4.8% growth for the economy. That's huge. If you've watched this program, you'll know we have a generational low for unemployment, an all-time low for African-American unemployment. That's historic.
Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider. Embrace that label. Being an outsider is fine. Embrace the label. Because it's the outsiders who change the world and who make a real and lasting difference. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime.
North Korea is issuing a new warning to the United States. Korea warned of a super mighty preemptive strike.
Getting a good picture, everybody, so we look nice and handsome and thin. Beautiful. Perfect.
They will work toward the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
Breaking news, the U.S. economy added 304,000 jobs last month. That was way ahead of expectations, and it was despite a record-breaking government shutdown.
Over the course of your life, you will find that things are not always fair. You will find that things happen to you that you do not deserve and that are not always warranted. But you have to fight, fight, fight. We are all Americans, and we are all united by one shared destiny. I gotta bring this fair. You will find that things happen to you that you do not deserve and that are not always warranted. But you have to fight, fight, fight. We are all Americans, and we are all united by one shared destiny. So I'm asking everyone to join this incredible moment. I'm asking you to dream big again. Dream bold, big and bold. Dream big and bold and daring.
President Trump has ordered the Pentagon to pull all U.S. troops out of Syria.
We can make our community safer, our families stronger, our culture richer, our faith deeper, and our middle class bigger and more prosperous than ever before. Alarmed by the new calls, socialism in our country. America was founded on liberty and independence, and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free. America will never be a socialist country, but we must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential. We must choose between greatness or gridlock, results or resistance, vision or vengeance, incredible progress or pointless destruction. Tonight, I ask you to choose greatness. I am asking all citizens to embrace this renewal of the American spirit. Seize this moment, believe in yourselves, believe in your future, and believe once more in America. Amen. I will fight for you with every breath in my body, and I will never, ever let you down. The forgotten man and the forgotten woman. You're not forgotten anymore.
This is the type of video.
Sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Online Harris and your Democrat candidate for president because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility at the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember, that's a good thing if you're a deep state puppet. I had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet, a wonderful mentor, Joe Biden. Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence. I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time, and there is such great significance to the passage of time.
Another trick is trying to sound black. I pretend to celebrate Kwanzaa, and in my speeches, I always do my best Barack Obama impression.
So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
And okay, look, maybe my work addressing the root causes of the border crisis were catastrophic, but my knowledge of international politics is truly shocking.
The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. It is an alliance that is strong and enduring.
And just remember, when voting this November, it is important to see what can be unburdened by what has been. And by what has been, I mean Joe Biden. Do you think the country went to over the past 4 years? In Nevada, I proposed my new, totally original idea. No tax on tips.
And eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
Now, I want to tell you about some of my other totally original ideas that I'll roll out starting on day one. Because of crooked Joe Biden, we have an immigration crisis. But let's call it what it is. It's an invasion. And I propose a totally new solution. I will build a wall. Nobody builds walls better than me. I will build a great wall on our southern border, and I'll have Mexico pay for it. This is my idea, 100% my own personal idea. And another original idea of mine, on day one, the largest mass deportation in the history of our country. Totally original idea of mine. And another totally original idea, I'm going to strengthen our military. Joe Biden made our military weak, but I will make our military strong again. On day one, I will totally eliminate DEI. We will terminate every diversity, equity, and inclusion program. Honest. DC is totally corrupt. It's a corrupt swamp. So I'm going to do something no one else has ever thought to do. When I'm president, I'm going to drain the swamp. Again, this is totally my idea, 100% original. I'm going to open up a bribery investigation on crooked Joe Biden because he belongs in prison. Let's drain the swamp. Totally my idea. Only I can fix the economy, build the wall, end the war in Ukraine, and eliminate tax on tips. These are all my ideas, 100% original. And remember when I got shot in Pennsylvania? Yeah, I'm basically an American hero. That really happened to me, for real. Harris Walls 2024. Let's make America great again.
Remember how...
When you think about the Joe Biden you saw in the debate, ask yourself a question. Do you think the guy who was defeated by the stairs, got taken down by his bike, lost a fight with his jacket, and regularly gets lost, makes it 4 more years in the White House? And you know who's waiting behind him, right? Vote Joe Biden today and Kamala Harris tomorrow.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? Because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like, we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel.
Did you ban offshore drilling? Yes. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. The worst vice president in the history of our country.
No question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
I am committed to passing a Green New Deal and finally putting an end to fracking once and for all.
If they fail to act as President of the United States, I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal.
I am offering a Green New Deal that has been described as one of the most aggressive and progressive.
Well, he's going to bring the Green New Deal up for a vote.
Yeah, I will vote for it. It is a resolution. I believe that the underlying principles behind it are sound and important.
What is the solution for voters who have jobs and interests in the fossil fuel industry?
Giving the workers an ability to transition into the jobs of the future.
Can we afford it?
Of course we can afford it. It's not about a cost.
Harris and Democrats are all in on defunding and demoralizing police.
It's actually wrong and backward to think that more police officers will create more safety.
They enable soft-on-crime prosecutors. Their grim scorecard, rising crime, hollowing out of our great cities. Their main victims, black men, women, and children. Kamala Harris and Democrats have failed us on crime. Who in their right mind wants more of this? Restoration PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
The Biden-Harris administration just admitted they released thousands of illegal immigrants convicted of violent crimes. Kamala lied.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
They released murderers.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
Human traffickers.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
Rapists. All released under Kamala. President Trump warned us he'll deport these thugs, secure the border, and make our streets safe again.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Have done something differently than President Biden.
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Kamala wouldn't change a thing, even though her radical agenda costs American lives. Kamala allowed dangerous criminals through our border, including Johan Martinez and Franklin Ramos, charged with gang raping then strangling a 12-year-old girl, destroying innocents, tearing apart communities, and devastating families. And Kamala won't change a thing, so Americans will continue to lose their lives.
Today, we are formally inviting you to become a member of the 47 Club. This is an exclusive club of patriots who have requested a mail-in ballot to vote early for President Trump. Once you request your mail-in ballot, we'll send your name straight to President Trump so he knows you had his back. The 47 Club isn't for everyone, but we think you're up to the challenge. President Trump is counting on you. Request your mail-in ballot today.
San Francisco DA, liberal Kamala Harris let killers go free. And as California Attorney General, Kamala continued to put criminals first. After a little girl was raped and buried alive, laws were passed to keep sex offenders away from children. Kamala ignored Jessica's law and allowed convicted sex offenders to live near schools and parks. Kamala Harris has always put criminals first. Don't make America her next victim. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
This is a journalist named Chauncey Bailey. We can't show you his face. It was blown away by this man's 12-gauge shotgun. Unfortunately, the murderer never should have been there. He should have been in jail. Broussard previously was convicted of brutal assault. San Francisco's liberal DA Kamala Harris put him back on the street instead of in jail. Now, Harris has blood on her hands.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council. America needs a commander-in-chief who's tough on illegal immigration. Kamala Harris fails that test.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. That's correct. That is correct.
Kamala was Biden's border czar. She supported sanctuary cities and taxpayer benefits for illegal immigrants. And she created the worst border crisis in American history. Kamala Harris is dangerous.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
This is Bidenomics. Bidenomics.
2/3 of registered voters believe the economy is getting worse.
And we are very proud of Bidenomics.
The rising gas prices, food prices really wallop the black community.
Imagine a mother who's making minimum wage trying to feed children. They're killing us without killing us.
That is called Bidenomics.
Restoration PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I'm so sick of stupid celebrities and lying journalists. Why don't you fools follow the science? This is a human being. Human being, human beings. And these are dead human beings, murdered by abortion that you promote. If history even remembers you, you'll be remembered like Leni Riefenstahl and Joseph Goebbels. The name of the wicked will rot. Ignore these sleazebags. A vote for Kamala is a vote for murdered babies. I'm Randall Terry, and I approve this message.
Supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
There are some moments in history that are forever seared into our hearts. Moments when time stops, when joy is shattered by pure terror, when evil seems to triumph over good, and our pride turns to mourning
all in an instant. The bravest among us suddenly fallen. Patriots and presidents besieged. A nation stunned to its core. And in the silence of our grief, in the stillness of our prayers, we ask, why? And we may never know. But in our nation's darkest moments, when all seems lost, when the cause seems to be unwinnable, when the night seems to never end and hope is on its knees, we rise. When will they learn this man cannot be stopped? This movement cannot be defeated. And even when they mock us, even when they slander us, even when they count us out of the fight, we will not stop.
We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never back down. We will never, ever surrender. My fellow Americans, our movement is far from over. In fact, our fight has only just begun.
Harris pushed the far-left Green New Deal. That means huge new taxes, increased utility bills, and banning gas cars.
That's why I am committed to passing a Green New Deal and finally putting an end to fracking once and for all.
Kamala just don't give a frack.
Kamala's fracking ban would kill jobs and raise gas prices. Kamala doesn't give a frack about you. Only President Trump will bring back Trump's strong economy.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Murdered a father of 3, sentenced to life in prison. Kamala Harris pushed to use tax dollars to pay for his sex change.
I made sure that they changed the policy so that every transgender inmate would have access.
It sounds insane because it is insane. Kamala was the first to help pay for a prisoner's sex change.
The power that I had, I used it in a way that was about pushing for the movement, frankly, and the agenda.
Kamala's agenda is they, them, not you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Kamala Harris is lying, saying she'll keep us safe. But Kamala's been soft on crime since day one. As San Francisco District Attorney, Kamala let violent criminals go free, including Devondre Broussard, who brutally assaulted a man. And when Kamala put him back on our streets, he murdered 2 innocent men in cold blood. Kamala Harris has always put criminals first. Don't make America her next victim. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Quick, what do these 3 criminals all have in common? Edwin Ramos, an illegal immigrant and MS-13 gang member, robbed a pregnant woman, was released, and later brutally gunned down a father and both his sons in San Francisco. Roni Aguilera, an illegal immigrant from Honduras, was arrested, released, and went on to murder a 14-year-old boy with a sword. Alexander Izagir, an illegal immigrant convicted of multiple crimes, was released, given job training by the city, and later robbed the woman in an assault that left her with a fractured skull. What do these criminals all have in common? Each of them was put back on the street by Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has vowed to defund the police, eliminate cash bail, and grant citizenship to millions of unvetted illegal immigrants. These are dangerously liberal policies that benefit illegal immigrants and criminals, not us. These are criminals for Kamala.
Like us, China also saw their weakness. So did Putin. Then he invaded Ukraine. Hamas saw Harris' anti-Israel statements and will use it as a green light to keep murdering Israelis. And Iran thinks Harris is so incompetent. New intel shows they're trying to help Harris win the election. America doesn't need another TikTok performer. We need the strength that will protect us.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
The Biden-Harris administration is gaslighting you, the American people, when it comes to the security of our southern border and the amount of illegal aliens entering the United States. They're mass importing as many aliens as possible, but they're illegally using methods to prevent the American people from knowing just how many aliens are actually entering the country. President Biden, Border Czar Vice President Harris, and Secretary of Homeland Security Mayorkas have used a phone app called CBP One to help illegal aliens get fast pass entry into the United States. Long-standing federal law requires aliens to have a visa before traveling to the United States. They have to take a number of steps before they can come, including filling out a detailed application, completing an interview with a consular officer, getting a medical exam, proving they can support themselves, and other critical vetting steps. But the CBP One app gets rid of all of that. No visa, no problem. Instead, illegal aliens from across the globe are encouraged to download an app and head near a port of entry, schedule an appointment, and then go to the port of entry even though they don't have visas and the law forbids their entry into the United States. No visa, no problem. The aliens don't even have to try to cross the border illegally. The Biden-Harris administration lets them in the front door. Essentially, the Biden-Harris administration created its own immigration system, a fast pass for illegals on a phone app. Even though there is no law that permits it, the CBP One app lets aliens enter basic information about themselves and submit a picture. It's like a dating app for immigration, except DHS almost always swipes right. DHS consistently approves over 95% of applicants through the CBP One app each month. Since January 2023, 680,500 aliens have been processed through the app. 41,800 aliens were processed in June 2024 alone, and those who enter using the CBP One app are not counted in the U.S. Border Patrol encounter statistics. For the Biden-Harris administration, no visa, no problem.
Favorite President Donald J. Trump here to introduce something really special. I think you're going to love it. My new Trump watches. This isn't just any watch. It's one of the best watches made, with almost 200 grams of gold and more than 100 real diamonds. That's a lot of diamonds. I love gold. I love diamonds. We all do. Owning one puts you in a very exclusive club. I have watch number one, and I'm going to keep it. It's mine, and that's the way I want to have it. Each watch is numbered and extremely rare, a true collector's item, and it includes a personal letter signed by me. Get your Trump watch right now. Go to gettrumpwatches.com. It's Trump time.
Be sure to...
Harris and the media elites think what's happening in Springfield, Aurora, and towns across America is a laughing matter. But would you think it's funny if Haitian refugees increased your town's population by 33%? Or if Venezuelan gangs were terrorizing your apartment building? Kamala Harris's policies of reckless migration, crime, and runaway inflation are making towns across the country resemble foreign war zones. If Harris and the Democrats get reelected, your town could be next. Our American Century is responsible for the content of this advertising.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be? Does one of us have to come out alive?
Press always asks me, don't I wish I were debating him? No, I wish we were in high school, I could take him behind the gym. That's what I wish. I said, no. I said, if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
That you cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
President Walker, how do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
When they go low, we kick.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Kamala Harris is bad. Meet Tim Walz, the Manchurian Candidate. Walz got married on the Tiananmen Square anniversary and visited China 30 times, including his honeymoon. Walz is a pro-China stooge who'll undermine our national sovereignty, weaken our defenses, and keep our borders open while cheap Chinese goods keep flooding the market. The choice is clear. Trump-Vance puts America first, and Harris-Walz, China first. House Freedom Action is responsible for the contents of this ad.
Before she was the most liberal U.S. senator, Kamala Harris was the liberal San Francisco prosecutor, the most progressive in all of California. She let an MS-13 gang member go, who then murdered a father and his 2 sons. She agreed to release another felon, who then committed murder. And Kamala even protected illegal alien drug dealers so they could escape deportation. Kamala Harris, a dangerous San Francisco liberal. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have been taking us for a ride. A ride they call Bidenomics, resulting in the worst inflation in over 40 years, creating a crisis of affordability on groceries, gas, and housing. Now Kamala doesn't want the ride to end.
Bidenomics is working.
As president, she wants to raise your taxes, pass a Green New Deal, and double down on Joe Biden's failed economic policy. America, it's time to get off this roller coaster before it's too late.
Harris desperately wants America to believe she's a moderate. But just like a chameleon, her radical truth is hiding in plain sight. On immigration.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
On crime.
The idea that more police equals more safety, that's just wrong.
Even on healthcare.
I've always supported Medicare for all, and I give credit to Bernie Sanders.
The truth is,
I am radical.
And she'll say anything to disguise it. These are Kamala Chameleon's true colors.
We have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah. Are undocumented immigrants that are the least likely to commit a crime.
Police report as many as 75% of the people they've arrested in Midtown Manhattan for assault, robbery, and domestic violence are illegal migrants.
Police have tracked down a killer whose crimes span the country. Rachel Marin was dragged from a hiking trail in Maryland where she was raped and murdered.
Police say Brandon Ortiz Vite used a handgun he bought illegally to shoot Ruby Garcia multiple times on Friday.
The prime suspect charged in Laken Riley's murder was 26-year-old Jose Antonio Ibarra. He illegally entered the United States back in 2022.
A Texas grand jury indicted Rafael Govea Romero. He's accused of attacking 16-year-old Lisbeth Medina by repeatedly hitting her head and stabbing her.
So let's get our notions together about what we're talking about. Doing everything we can to make it more affordable to buy a home.
A just-released housing index reveals just how rough the market is, especially for first-time home buyers. It showed home prices for the nation's top 20 metro areas rose 5.4% from June of last year to June of this year, a record jump for that month.
The average home buyer needs to make over $110,000 to afford the average home. Home buyers only needed to make $76,000 back in 2020.
Mortgage rates are now at their highest level in 21 years.
86% of U.S. renters would like to buy, but they can't. That really speaks to a lot of pessimism here about the American dream, how it feels like it's out of reach. Home ownership remains the ticket to wealth generation. So this is just widening the gap between the haves and the have-nots.
She stands there and says on day one, she's going to tackle the housing affordability crisis in our country.
But day one for Kamala was 3.5 years ago.
What the hell have you been doing for all that time?
Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
It is wrong to somehow suggest that an undocumented immigrant is a criminal.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross the border as criminals. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making. I support our sanctuary law.
Abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Is that a position that you agree with?
We need to probably think about starting from scratch.
I've never had one conversation with the president or the vice president for that matter. I was the chief of the Border Patrol. I commanded 21,000 people. That's a problem.
Look at them go down. What some would call history in the making.
Scary. Don't say that.
We have never been down 1,000 points ever, not even intraday on the NASDAQ.
Bidenomics is working. It's working.
The stock market just taking a big old nosedive this morning.
Dow Jones is down about 1,010 points.
That is called Bidenomics.
The Dow fell more than 600 points Friday on a weaker than expected jobs report.
5%. Meta, 6%. Amazon, 6%. Apple, 9% down.
Bidenomics is working.
Fears of a recession began after Friday's disappointing July jobs report.
Bidenomics is working.
A rise like that is historically a sign that a recession is imminent.
This is Bidenomics.
What you're seeing right now in the stock market is what Americans have been feeling for the last 3 years. It's just a manifestation of it right now.
All that is called Bidenomics. I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her.
You're considered the most liberal United States senator. Well, actually, the nonpartisan GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
We are going to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross the border as criminals. That's correct. That is correct.
A lot of the signs at the rally you just held were people standing there saying, abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Is that a position that you agree with?
We need to probably think about starting from scratch.
So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all to people who are in this country illegally?
I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being public health, period.
Are you for defunding the police?
How are you defining defund the police? It's actually wrong and backward to think that more police officers will create more safety. We need to get rid of money bail.
Convicted, in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber, on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation. I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal. I have always supported Medicare for all. I was very happy to sign on to Bernie's bill, and I give Bernie, frankly, a lot of credit. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Do you ban plastic straws?
I think we should.